Okay, welcome to the Maya Cosmology course. This is the last module of the course. We have gone through these 4 modules, and very briefly, I'm going to go through very important things. It's going to be a good video to have recorded and to be able to go back to in case it's necessary. Probably will be, where we will cover these 4 things: crafting and following different calendars. Then just a brief thing about introducing people to their sign, which is what you should be able to do at some point. Then some divination techniques, and at the last point is crafting rituals, principles, ideas, or ways how the Mayas craft rituals. Now, for the last 2, well, for each one of the points, or at least the number 1, 3, and 4, there are things that would require a lot more, and I will be, for example, for crafting and following different calendars, I do plan to have like really pretty recordings. Hopefully I'll get my camera back, or I'll get another camera at some point. Hopefully it'll come from somewhere. And because I want to record like in time lapse how you can draw things. I won't be drawing that myself with my hands. I'm just gonna tell you about it and show you images. And of course, and for that you're getting materials. You're getting different calendars already made for you that will be uploaded after this session is done, tomorrow or the day after at the latest. Then the third point, divination techniques. I'm just going to give you a hint of that. And the last one, principles to craft rituals, a hint of that. Now, I do want to say for that it's just a hint, and that's pretty much. We're going to go and I am going to offer the advanced workshop where we will, more than just me teach things, I expect the participants to already have some knowledge, and I'm amazed to see, because I read Joel's posts, and I got to learn about the cat, and Sean commented, and I mean I can see that you guys are already following the calendar and getting to predict it very well, getting to know it, and you're getting very much familiarized. So that's exactly what I would want to see. That's it's just a great thing. You got the book now, where you can go further into maybe some words, some things that I might have missed myself in the lessons about the signs, the 20 suns, 20 tonals or 20 nawals. Hello, Elizabeth and Jeshua, welcome. And we're with 12 participants. And Wendy, welcome. And so since you're doing so well in that, I believe that some of you, hopefully as many of you as you can, and many of you that are following this on the recorded sessions, will be able to join the advanced workshop. And so, but I do warn you, it's a workshop, so it's not. So it will be required for you to participate in the sense of like inputting, right? We're going to gather data. That's this point of the workshop. And it's going to be complemented with like going into depth into different things. Now, that's something we can do online, but there's some things that we cannot do online that I've given it a lot of thought. And one of those things is, for example, in the crafting rituals, in the divination, which is a ritual. It's also crafting a ritual. I've spoken to my guides, and I really should to be really proper with the tradition is the way to really do that. Like for the best way for you guys to start doing the divinations with the seeds is to receive from someone the seeds. So right now I have been gathering the seeds that need to be used for this, which are the tzite seeds, the colorín tree. It's, I don't know if there's an equivalent in another continent, is this tree that has these red seeds that is very common in any tropical and subtropical forest in all of the Americas. It exists in North and South America, at least within the tropics, and Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. So I've gathered one sack, so I can initiate one person so far, and I will continue to gather those seeds, and hopefully I'll be able to have. And that's something that is a gift. So I'm to gift that to someone, and for that, of course, you would need to come, and but to do that, I would kind of recommend, if not require. I'm not much of like require kind of ideology, but strongly recommend to at least travel more than once to the Maya lands. I will be doing. We have one trip right now, which is kind of important, connecting with Teotihuacan, and of course you can follow that online. Well, we'll see about the cameras, but I will try, if not with a cheesy phone I have. I'll try to record some things. Hopefully my camera will come back. And so I'll bring you into that as much as I can virtually. But it is good that you were able at some point to come, and more than once, if you can stay, it would be awesome, like for a while. So you can really, really like seed yourself with the Maya lands or with Mesoamerica. And that way would be the most proper way. That would be like the respectful way, at least for me, to say, okay, you can, of course, you will already, and don't feel, it's not like, I believe from the new fire this new fire tribe that I'm seeding, I believe that restriction, and so we have all these like principles of respect, right? That we really like to follow, but they should be, and I've talked about this in a video. I don't know I think it was in Spanish though. Oh, it was in the last Trecena video, where respect is something. When I did the one dog Trecena video, respect is something that should be not imposed or coerced into, but rather, and we still get some of that from native people, where they make us feel like it's all really strict, right? Because they really want to make us feel like how important it is to have that respect, right? So the very respectful thing to do would be to be able to come into to do different trips into the forests, into the sacred temples. Even Gordon mentioned wanting to come to Yaxchilan, and we'll see if that happens. I don't know if I should be revealing that. I talked to him. But I'll keep you posted if that happens. For now, Teotihuacan and Bacalar, fire and water, are good starts for that. And do not feel bad if you can't make it. Of course, I mean, man, isn't it a challenge to be able to come? Or if you can't come, we'll try as hard as we can to bring you in without you being able to physically come. But that would be kind of the way to, and if you can come, and not this trip, I guess it would be for the next trip, where we would do kind of like this in-depth visit to the jungles of the central Maya lands where I lived, and with that I would finally like give someone my package of seeds or the packages of seeds, as many as I'm able to gather till then, to like, and then teach you presentially how to do the seed reading. I will give you the clues now, but that would be like the best way to actually start doing it. So don't limit yourself if you can't make it. Start using as much as you can the charts, the information I'm going to give you. Don't think you're being disrespectful. There's a lot of mixed positions about that. There's a lot of like bad information about, oh, that's cultural appropriation kind of thing. And I have suffered from actually feeling bad and have gone deeper into that and actually discovered that there's a lot of, even like, if you want to call it backwards racism, where of course the natives are going to be, why is this white looking guy, English speaking guy, teaching people the things that we should be teaching? But it turns out that, I mean, it's not about showing. I don't want to show off, but I can actually teach it very well, even better than many or Mayan priests. My knowledge of it, it's actually quite good. So, and I have been given permission. So, of course, that there's so many different lineages and so many people, and don't think it's all very well organized, and there's like a very good hierarchical organization. The Mayan priests themselves have fallen into wanting to institutionalize their organizations with the government, through the government, and with that they have lost many things. They have misunderstood and misfollowed the ancient guidance. So it gets really complex, right? And even people, the book I've shared with you about the signs, the 20 sun signs, like that, most of that comes from Carlos Barrios, and he was, again, a mestizo person, not a native-born Guatemalan, who became an Akij and was an Akij a long time, and nobody has described the signs better than him, and nobody knew better than him. And if you go to another Akij, you might be amazed to see that their knowledge is a little more shallow. And doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean they're not good people, etc. It's just that we all have access to this, and it's a universal. And one of the things we are taught in the Aztec dance groups is that the rituals are non-discriminatory. The knowledge, the sacred knowledge, is universal. What does that mean? That means that everybody is invited, right? Of course, there are ways to better join. Of course, you want to join the dance in the way that the dance is made. You don't want to show up and change things, right? And that's when cultural appropriation should be pointed out. That's real cultural misappropriation, right? Where people want to change things, they want to, or just call themselves they change even the dates, and like our way is it, and say this is the way we should go, and we're back here where that didn't go anywhere. Because I mean, we can even give them that, the benefit of the doubt, and we can let him, okay, maybe he's right, maybe he is the new avatar, and we should be changing the count to this day. Let's go with that. And we have allowed that, and we have seen that. No, check it out yourself. Check out the Arguelles' count and days, and check out this count, and tell me what resonates more with you. That's the way you should always do things. What resonates? What is, because then, and that's the proof, everything's universal. I mean, we're all included. Nobody's excluded, okay? So I had to say that, and I had to say that I have my packages. Well, I have one, and I will be making more. And whoever is able to make it into some trips into the Maya lands with me, I will be so happy to gift them my packages. Okay, let's get it going with the coming. What's coming? So crafting and following different calendars and charts. For that, we have to clear out what the definition of calendar is, right? This seems like a beginner's kind of thing, but I think it's important to define it, because we kind of sometimes even get lost in that. Because when we think of calendar, we think of something that is like there's just one, right? It's like a mono kind of thing, very monotheistic idea of what a calendar or calendarism. We know that the word comes from calendas, has to do with the moon. Ideally, there are cycles that are measurable. We know them, 365.24 rotations of the Earth in a rotation around the sun. That's kind of our main cycle. Then there, of course, there's all the cycles of the rest of the planets. Then there are eclipses, and there's so many other lesser cycles, lesser important, because the main cycle of going around the sun, day and night cycle, that's pretty important. The moon, that's pretty important. And going around the sun defines the stations, the weather, and that's pretty important. I think it does affect us a lot more than just than Venus or Mars or other lesser cycles, not to say that they do affect us. So we got this idea from Pope, what is it? Somebody know it? What the Pope is? I'm going to scroll here for the messages. Gregory, there you go. So Pope Gregory, the Gregorian calendar. That there's just one like calendar, that's it. So if we talk about the Mayan calendar or the Aztec calendar or somebody else's calendar, we fall into that idea that it's just one thing, right? So let's think that a calendar, let's think about a calendar as just a table, like something that we can draw and print and see, or even sculpt in stone, that shows different cycles. It can be days, weeks, months of the year, etc. And then it's used to arrange that in different cycles. Here you did use the word waves, which is proper, because it is the sacred calendar, or the sacred chart of the Cholquij or Tzolkin or Tonalpohualli is, it does kind of have more wavy. They're shorter waves. The trecenas are like waves, and then there's another thing where we want to organize our year and set different dates for different events or celebrations, rituals, etc. And that's kind of a definition of what a calendar does. Okay, I talked about that in the second module. I think it's the second module where I talk about the calendars, the different charts, the long count. We have the moon calendar. Some of them are more astrological. I did talk thoroughly about the civilian calendars, how there's kind of a difference between how a chart or an organization of days or the year serves the purpose of organizing a society, a civilization. And there's other charts and other calendars that serve the purpose of, or a more astrological, mystical purpose. that is not many times in the Maya case, the classical Maya was not included. You did not find in the stelae the moon calendar. You don't find it there. They don't count it there. It's not there. They do, however, include the long count, the hab. It's like triad. The long count, the hab, and the cholquij, which I don't know if I'll get to that in this module, if not on the workshop. Like the final proposition of the two, how we can actually use two cholquij charts. And my, it would be, what do you call it? Theory, opinion. So I don't want to say it's the truth, but my suggestion of the fact that the classical Maya, or that did use, they had like a solar, like a public, open to the public kind of cholquij, which is on the sacred charts, and a kind of mystical hidden count, which is the one we're following. So the other one, and so many pieces fall together when you make that proposition, which I haven't seen anybody else make that proposition about this. Any other very, very amazing investigators about this, like Frank Diaz, like Jose here, a friend of mine. I forgot his last name. But he's a really good investigator. There's so many investigators, and none of them have actually proposed this. So I am proposing that, and I'll get to that hopefully one day, to like formally, hey, I'm an investigator too, and this is my proposition regarding this, the fact that there were two cholquij. But that's very advanced. I'll try to clear that as much as I can today. Okay, so the idea is that we have just a lot of different charts, a lot of different cycles, and you can create charts that include different cycles. You can create charts for a specific cycle. They're all good. They're all helpful. So with this, we're going to go through these 7 versions of that. You can, first, or sections in this lesson, drawing the glyphs. Then we're going to, this is like homework too for you, okay? So you want to draw the Quijab glyphs. You want to practice that. Then you're going to do what I call the graph paper cholquij, which is you use the graph paper, the square little thing, the papers with squares. I don't know what they call that in your country. Maybe it's different. The word I found in English is graph paper. Maybe in another country it's a different word. Here in Spanish, in Latin America, they use papel cuadriculado. It's like quadriculated paper, like with squared paper. Let me know if there's another word for that. And if you do, it'll be helpful, because we got people from all over the world here. So then after that, we'll do a colored version of that. Then we're going to do a 13-day count. We're going to do a spiral one, which is one that I just once drew. It came out of nowhere. I didn't see it anywhere, but then it turns out I'm not, like with anything, nobody invents anything. When you think you invent something, it was already invented. You think you invented it because you didn't see it from anybody, but doesn't mean that you're the first one that came up with it. So then astrological moon calendar and calendar combinations and others. So that's for this section. And we got a lot to go. We got half an hour already eaten up. So let's get going. So the drawing of the 20 glyphs is something that we won't be going long into right now, because I did get to kind of do that when, as we went through the 20 suns. I did go through the how do you draw a Quijab. So it's not something we need to go thoroughly through right now. The idea is that you practice different styles, that you adapt to different that you really try to find more than one way to draw it, okay? Or one means. So if you just stick to very little graph paper kind of sized, did somebody write about Gregory? That's what it's called, Gregory paper? Or Gregorian? Graph paper, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I put. So I guess it is the same word everywhere. Okay. So you want to try to find a different place where to draw this. I'm thinking now something I hadn't thought before. What about embroidery? That's a good way. So depending on the surface, you can adapt to that. And the point is that you keep the language that somebody will know what sign it is, depending. So for this first example this is a scan of the way I drew the signs like 15 years ago. There literally is something I drew 15 years ago. You can see that I didn't even have consistency in the size of the squares. They are very ugly looking, but I wanted to show how you can evolve. So this is not mine. This is something I scanned this is actually it was from a book, and in there you can see that depending on the size, it can vary, right? You can see variations of the signs, right? So it can get very creative. It can get very... And you can see that in all of them, you would be able to know what sign it is, right? Like, if you're familiar enough with the sign, you should be able to understand, even with a very simple, like this kind of, or this little glyph, or this. See how now, for example, this, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I would confuse this with a noch, right? But I guess, yeah, the simpler you go, well, the more confusing it can be, and the more detail you add, the better. This is all in your study materials. All these different versions of the signs for this module, not for the last one. So on the last one of the 20 signs, I did not put like all the different styles I have found of the signs in that book. So you will find that in this book or in this study material for this module. So here you can see some very, very more elaborate versions of the signs. Here's a very simple one, and you're getting all of this in the study materials. So you'll see those examples. You can study them in detail. This is something that somebody drew somewhere, and it's all valid. See how it can vary. It can show each personal style, each personal effort. This is a very pretty one. This is from a codex. This is made by the Mayas. This is one of the images I use quite often for the course, which, by the way, I need to like find ways to get out there somehow and get more people to see it, because I guess it's a good thing, this course. And you can see, look at the Khmer here. So can you tell? Would you be able to mistake one or not identify one? Looks like here, look in the Ach, they forgot to draw the two pillars, the earth pillars. So this is made by the Mayas, and maybe I've said this, but this is the common language. This is the main language that if you learn it, it's like the core language. It's even, I guess, more important to know this as a language than even a Maya language. So if you learn this first, which you are doing, and then you start slowly learning a Maya language and slowly approaching the Mesoamerican lands, and I will say that it's all the inheritance of an older civilization. So it is a universal thing. So it's good anywhere and everywhere, and it's something that if it expands beyond the Americas, it's amazing. It should. And it's totally compatible with any other sacred, shamanic, mystical, astrological, cosmological worldview, anything you want to call it, it's compatible. Okay, so here I was going to do the exercise. So I used to be a jeweler, a goldsmith. And I decided that I was going to do and I don't know the word in English for calado, which is when you use a saw, a very thin saw, and you cut out. It's like a cutout. You do a cutout, and I was going to do it on this thin wood planches. So this was a challenge, because with the cutout, you need to make sure that the structure that your piece doesn't break. So the spaces which is what you use for drawing need to work in the way saw piercing. Oh, amazing! Thanks, Norman. Saw piercing. There you go. Saw piercing. So I was gonna do that, and so I was doing that exercise of what works, what I like. You can see how many versions. So this is all the cat, for example. This is like a walk. This is all bats. This is kech. This is a ugly kemem. Some kemes. Look how many kemes. This is the tz'iking, the hash, the kan, the snake. Look how many different versions I came up with. Let's be creative with the snake. The kanil, the ach, noch, achmak here, the ish. This is an ish. That's e. The dog, the akabal, all of this is ik. All of this is e or eb. I like this one. I actually didn't do this one. The toch, sorry. Toch and imosh. And I actually did do this. So this was kind of getting close. So I chose from the different styles. I kind of chose what I was going to do. So this came out to be like the closest version. So this is the imosh, ik, akabal, what's in order. So you know all of them. Then repeated imosh, so some repeated ones. And I did them. And I have them till today. You can see that I used a very beautiful natural colored woods, tropical woods from the Amazon. I did this in Samaipata. Which is the Samaipata is a very amazing place you should visit one day. It's where the three biomes, the most important biomes in South America meet: the Chaco, the Amazon, and the Andes. So it is in way the center of South America, the Samaipata. And there's a very ancient, amazing archaeological site there of, like, I would even bet is older than Tiwanaku, that one. So you should check it out one day. So I lived in that place. That's where my first daughter was born, and then around that time, I did this saw piercing. And I don't know if I don't have another photo. So this is a Palo Brasil. It's a red kind of wood. This is no, it's not mapajo. This is I forgot when I get, like, when I'm put up in the, I have to remember something that I don't remember that easily. I forget it. So I forgot the name of the wood for this. It's beautiful wood. It's like a white wood, and it's hard tropical wood. This is a moradillo, and this is a amarillon, they call it. The names vary according to the country, but they're all tropical Amazon woods. So these chips or these signs I use today, and this is something that no architect taught me, or nobody ever taught me, is I do a prayer every day. So I'll grab one of these guys, one of these chips or squares, I don't know what to call them, or signs, and I put it in the center of my altar. There's a whole many things in my altar. This is not my altar. This is just the chips alone. And then I use these seeds, which are bukut, seed of the tree of bukut, which is a very beautiful tree. And these come from a bukut tree that's in Tikal. So I grab these bukut seeds, and I put the numeral, the number, below the sign, and then I have the one for the Trecena above it. And that's how I count the days. That's how I do a prayer each day for the day. I call out to the 4 directions every single day with the feather, with the chant, and like a Icaro kind of chant, which is, my version of it is kind of Huichol kind of inspired chant. And so I do combine kind of influences from different cultures. I mean, the wood is Amazonian, but it's very, very original, authentic prayer that I do every day with these things. And you can see how it turned out very beautifully. And thank you for your comments. Look at the arcs and the curves. So this is the idea of showing you this, is so that you can have an example of how you can just take it your way, and that's homework for you guys. Homework. I'll put my face here. Homework. Got to do that homework of practicing the art is really going to be important for you to connect with the signs, with the energies of you drawing it or carving it or embroidering it or making a mural. Just be creative, find your way. I mean, I was thinking, when I have my village on the Amazon, to which you're invited to be part of all that huge project. I haven't spoken about that a lot, but that's kind of the ultimate goal of everything I do. And there I was thinking about doing some like totems, like squared kind of like pillars that would be on the ground, like huge. I don't know if out of stone or out of wood. Or like maybe find a dead tree in the Amazon and then carve that. And then you can, and like when I have the courses over there, I guess I will do that course over there, like the long version of the course, which ideally it would take 260 days. We would like actually sit next to that pillar, like every single, like according to the signs. There would be one for each one of the 20 signs, and we would sit next to it the day of that day, and learn from that on that day with that totem. So that's as far as I'm going to take this. Okay, so you guys can find ways to take it far too. Feel free, be free. Okay, so this exercise, homework for you guys and gals. I think there's more gals than guys actually. Is you grab the graph paper. 4 squares is if it's the same measure where you live, it probably is. If you use the margin, it should fit on the left margin 20 signs, and you should have enough space here. If you use 4x4 squares, it should be enough. It should fit. So do this. Fill out the 20 signs. If you do this once, twice, thrice, do it as many times as you want. And if you make a lot, you will make a lot of mistakes. So, and that's good. So first step, do the 20 signs. Second step, do the 13 rows of 20 signs. So it's going to be, you're going to have 13 rows. So this way you can divide the rows. No, I'm sorry, not rows, columns. Columns. So divide the columns, put a little number below them, and already measure the 4x4 space that the columns will use. With this, you divided the space of the row. So you don't need to like draw the rows and the columns. If you just do this and this, it should be enough for you to then fill out with the numbers, which is what's coming next. So you start filling out with the numbers. You'll start practicing a lot, writing these numbers, doing this. You get to that point, and you continue each trecena. I recommend that you do some backward checking, because it's very easy to like just skip a number or make a mistake. And I'll leave it to you to find the clues. What clues? Like for example, if you look at the one before, at the 20 days before it, it should be 7 more, right? So, but there's other clues too, that like what number? How do I check I haven't missed one or haven't made a mistake? So you just take it through, and you'll finish like that. That's how it looks when finished. Then once you have this chart, like just like this, I will get to why Arguelles did this little drawing in the middle of this. And what does it mean? But just this, without that drawing, can lead you to so many like mathematical revelations. When I was maybe in my phase of the clarity, which I was hoping to, I just lost that. I had already recorded that material, and it was in the hard drive, and it's gone. Which is a video about the second enemy of the Toltec warrior, which is the clarity. When you're in that, once you overcome fear, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm a genius, and you start getting all these revelations. But that becomes kind of like a passage itself. It becomes a test, or like a cycle that you get over it, and you realize, oh, I can feel like I'm a genius, but whatever, that's not taking me anywhere. Or it is good. I mean, it is a good skill to have, but that's not where the road ends. It's not about the ego that produces. So this will help getting you there, where hopefully you will go there, and you will actually have like wow revelations of mathematical combinations and patterns. If you get into math is a very, very interesting trip. And I'm not going to get into that and eat up the time, but you can find a lot of things with this, okay? A lot of trips, of revelations, of patterns. Like, wow, look at this, right? So instead of me showing each one of the patterns I once found, I even forgot them, because that was a stage of clarity that today I'm no longer into. But back then, this is all I did. I would just fill out these charts, and then would do other like notations of all these patterns that I would find. And I had this friend. It was really fun, because I had this friend, an Anil friend, a star friend. And so I would take all these writings with the patterns to him, and show him. Because I back then I was like 20 years old. I felt like I was onto something. I felt like I was special, because I was onto something. with all these discoveries. And so I would take him to him and just leave him the papers there. I would forget him at his house, because then we would like be up all night and partying, and then I would just go back to sleep and forget him. And I would come back the next time or the next day, and he's like, "Look, I made a song out of your patterns. I discovered that you're a genius. You've just discovered these. You're making music," he said. I'm like, "Oh, wow!" And he would play them on the guitar for me. So he was a genius himself. This guy was the best musician I've ever met, because he once taught me the whole history of the guitar on the guitar. So he went from like the first things that ever got composed to the very last things and all the styles that ever existed on the guitar. And he just gave me that kind of like 2-hour, 3-hour kind of lesson or presentation on the guitar without like tripping once on a note. And then he would compose music out of my mathematical charts, my Mayan mathematical charts. And I lost contact with this guy. I wish I could find him again. I'll try to find him. This was a brief amount of time that I lived in Guanajuato. Okay, so let's keep going, because there's a lot more to see. Now, once you get that graph paper done, you want to start using colors. You want to find ways to make it prettier. So if you want to do it with pencils, colored pencils, or paint or whatever, you want to do like one pretty one, right? That is like the one you're gonna have and you're gonna use. So I recommend you do the one that starts with Emosh and with these colors, and we will get to the newer versions, or the Humbats versions, and how to translate that. I haven't done that for all the length of the course. And so this is finally coming, how to do that. And it's going to make sense, because if you see the book that Carlos Barrios wrote, there's a little piece of other sources that I added to that, and the first part of the book is my writing. So you're going to see that the colors on the signs given to the signs are not these colors, because they are using the Humbats version. Okay, but I recommend learning the Hunimosh version first as you learn the signs. So this is the Humbats version, right? With the same colors, all I did here is just change the starting sign. So instead of being Emosh, it's Bats, but it's the same colors. So and you can see it just goes in the middle, and that's it. So this is another thing you can do, which I do, is, well, put them one here and one here. And then the more complex, the more confusing, right? I guess, if you're just trying to understand it simply. But so far, I think I'm not being that confusing, hopefully, for you. And this is just a visual representation, right? The use is the same. If you're going to find the date, well, you can draw it from here, from the right side, or from the left side. It doesn't matter. It's still the same order. It's still the same sequence. Now, finally, here we come to Argüelles' version, which is the most seen version. If you Google Tzolk'in, this is what shows up. Most images are like this. So what is this? So you can see he uses a Hunimosh version. All right. You can see he does a simplification, his style of the signs. I don't like his style. Right. I mean, I like it because I like the fact that it's another style, and I think it's good to have each person to do their styles. But I wouldn't recommend you copying this style and parting from this to do your own styles. I recommend that you part from actual Mayan drawings to do your styles, which is the ones I've been teaching you, right? And then, if you want, do your styles, your own styles, but don't start from this, because I see a lot of Mayanists do that they just copy these styles, and I don't know. I something is lost. But then here's his style. Now, so what he does is, Arguelles, is he, and I do teach part of Arguelles' stuff because I do find it relevant, though you've been hearing me all along, don't follow his count, etc. But don't, like, nothing is black or white, right? There's good things here, good things that he brought and he wrote and he shared, and you can totally read his books and learn what he taught, and even you're free to choose, of course, what count. But I'm pretty sure you'll find that the count we were using is more resonant. So one of the things that you won't find in like the native counts and native charts is this drawing, which he calls the this gets confusing because there's two words, suvuya, and some people have translated it as suiba, but that's not really the proper name. It's suvuya. So suvuya is like a channel, and there's some mention in the Popol Vuh, and I'll leave the homework, see if somebody can do that for me, and actually, because I know you guys are reading the Popol Vuh, or should be, and I won't be able to right now start looking for that because I have a lot of things to do, and I will eventually, but if you can do that, find where in the Popol Vuh, that's here's, if you want to write it down as a task for the advanced workshop. If you're wanting to join the advanced workshop, let's get it started. Where in the Popol Vuh is the mention of the Suvuya, and what does it say? Okay, because all I remember is, and I read it like 3 times, but Popol Vuh is a book that you can read 7 times and you still will forget things, and like each time you read it, you find another layer, a completely different story. So I don't remember that. All I remember from the Subuya, it was this channel, and it was part of the story somehow, but I don't remember much more than that. So Arguelles says, oh, that's a good idea. The spelling of Subuya. Su here in the chat. Subuya, you're going to miss this in the recording. So I'll say it too. It's Zuvuya. Here's in the chat. And since there's probably a tool on this thing to write here, but, or is there? Yeah, just like with a pen is going to look ugly. No. So it's Cuvuya. It's quite simple. Subuya. So Arguelles calls this middle channel of the Cholquij the Subuya. And it turns out that whether you're following the Imosh or the Bats, so if you're following the Imosh, if you're starting from Hun Imosh, the Hun Bats lands right in the middle here, and vice versa. If you put the Hun Bats here, you'll find the Hun Imosh right here. And you will experience, once you start getting into having experienced the cycles, like you're counting the days, right? You're following each day, you're resonating each day. And once you get through several cycles of 260 days, you will start noticing patterns. And one of those patterns is that there are 20 days that are really intense, like really exciting, like in a good way, like, wow, this is fun, this is great. So, and this would be these 20 days. the and it's kind of, if you do a humbats, so it would work more with a humbats, because then the hunimosh would be in the middle, and it would be especially those days that is like 1 imosh, 2 ik, 3 akabal, which would be here if you do a humbats order. Then those days are really exciting, like they're special. And if you want to, you can like prepare for that and like arrange things so that they happen during that time, and it's a really proper time. So these other days kind of just draw the edges, and according to Arguelles, this is kind of a torus that is drawn from the chart. And of course, then these days would be kind of somehow special, the ones that are marked. But I have tried to feel that without just Arguelles telling me. Of course, with our account, not his. And I haven't been able to find, like, maybe I should try to do the exercise. Auspicious, yeah. Yeah, these are auspicious days, very auspicious days. So in the Suvuya, in the middle day. So maybe these are two. Maybe we should do that exercise and the workshop. Like, let's write down these green ones if we find some kind of difference when we bump into the green days here. Of course, following the count that is not Arguelles. So we're done with that. Let's do another way. This is all. Arguelles never really, he did pinpoint the importance of, he called it wave. What do you call it? Ondas encantadas, like enchanted waves, which I call trecenas, right? And I've searched for a word, a translation in one word for trecena in English. Haven't found it. 13-day count is what I can come up with. Because in Spanish you can say trecena, veintena. You can, for any number, you can make like with one word, say a count of that many days. In this language, we stick to use trecenas and veintenas, 13-day counts and 20-day counts. Sean is writing. So this is something, an exercise you want to do. This is a chart you want to have. This same chart comes in the materials. You have it. You'll have it if you want to just print it. But if you get to making it yourself, great for you. Let's see what Sean says. It says, I think you could signify that by just saying a 13 and more or less, a 13. Maybe that works. Okay. Yeah, let's try that. A 13. I don't know. I feel more trecena just works for me. Because yeah, doesn't matter. But it's a good idea. Every idea is good. Okay, so in these 13s, well, here you'll see the pattern of the colors arranging here in diagonal. This is going to help you a lot, kind of see the time go through the waves, right? It will help you also find patterns and other things and arrange and teach you that you can arrange this in different ways. Okay? And so these are the numbers, like 1 whatever or 7 whatever. And this helps you visualize like the order of the 13s or the order of the trecenas or the 13-day counts. Right? So after Imosh, we get an Ish. After Ish, we get a Kech, etc. So we're in Tz'i, so we're going to come into the Akabal, right? And then Achmak, and then Toch, etc. So that will help you foresee things, having this specific chart. You can, of course, color it differently. This is in the materials too, ready for printing. Now, this is the exercise I did, and this is the actual image of when I did it, and I never actually made a pretty version of it. It was just this quick, cheesy thing I did, and that would be my homework too. Part of my homework is do this but pretty, because I haven't even done that. Shame on me. And so I did this kind of yin yang thing here. And then, so you start from inside, right? Or you can do both ways. Oh, this one I start from outside. So you can do it both ways. You can start from the inside. So you put the 20 signs around the circle. You divide a circle in 20 sections. And then you draw the lines like that. And then you put a 1, a 2, a 3, and you start making the numbers. And then you start going either inside, and you can do it the other way, coming out. And you can do it. If you do the bats, it's the same. You'll find it that it's the same sequence, so it doesn't matter. So that's another homework. And we're into an hour, and I think we're good with time. So moon astrological calendar, 13 moon astrological calendar. We talked about that. I guess just to show you that this is in your materials. You do want to have this chart where it points out the exact dates. Now, this varies a little bit from one source to another. I think this is Arguelles' source. The source I used initially was Hugh Charleston Jr., and which is actually, I believe, the source that even Arguelles got it from. And or Humbatzman, which was Arguelles' teacher, who, by the way, I think is still alive, Humbatzman. He has a school of this in close to Mérida, Yucatan. I think I told the story where I called and they bluntly told me, we don't accept Mexicans in our school. I'm like, okay. And somebody's going to comment that. Yeah, it's funny. So that was Arguelles' teacher. So imagine how that went. So we don't want to be of Arguelles' lineage. Okay, so this, all I'm teaching is totally compatible with all the, and in respect of all the native nations. And it's not what happened with Arguelles. And not even Humbatzman, who, I mean, he's brave enough to just do what he did, being that he probably is, at least he looks like he is a Peninsular Maya. But then the Peninsular Mayans lost the count, not like the Highland Mayas, who did keep this very strongly and weaved into their worldview and social practices, etc. In other words, the Peninsular Maya were more colonized than the Highland Maya. So this chart, have it, you're going to have it. There's an extra day. And I taught you this. So if you want to have it, or you want to make your version of it, then feel free to. But you do need that chart, and it is in the materials. So then with these things, you can combine them. And this is an example of that combination that I once did, where you can add everything or anything you want to add to that. Now, these symbols that were taken, the book of Hugh Charleston Jr. that talks about just the 13 moon calendar has these drawings in them, but they come from a codice, and you can find that. From the codice, it's kind of not that easily. You need to reconstruct it because it's kind of erased. So it is better to just copy either from the materials. That's best even source because it's already kind of like reconstructed. And there are two different kinds of glyphs for the moon. These ones that they all have their mouths open, and they're like hanging from their mouth from a band of signs, which are like these. And this is what, according to Hugh Charleston Jr., would be the signs for each one. So some have two versions, some have only one of these squared versions of the symbol for the moon. Okay. Now the difference that I have with Hughes Charleston Jr. and where I do agree with Arguelles is in the number for the moon, because he would place number 8 for Sots, and he begins with Cos, with the hawk, because that was his sign. So I guess everybody suffers from this. I'm the one bringing the information, or my sign marks that I am the best one. I don't know, and so we should start from there. So no, I believe that we should start from the first moon. I've talked about this quite a lot. So you have that here, up here. So this is what I do. I do one page. So you're going to put the moon. You're going to order your whole year. This is really practical. And I still do this. And I'll show you. We're on cause right now. That's it. Yeah, that's precise. And so that's kind of like a neat thing to do. Arguelles did that too. And he's in his charts, in his calendars, that one of the ways he became famous is that he would have funds to print and give out. So he had like money. I have the suspicion that he was funded by the CIA, but okay, there's no evidence for that. It's just my suspicion. Of course, you wouldn't find evidence of that if that's true. So let me put this up with more space. So this is my version. It's similar to what Arguelles did, with some differences. He would put I Ching things, and I stick to just Mesoamerican counts and symbols and things that I put here. And in this example, I did add the Hab and the long count. Now, with that, it gets really complex, because I am just totally lost now with the Hab, where there's just different versions. A big group of Mayan elders is totally changing the Hab, like saying, no, we found evidence that the Hab actually starts in this day, right? And for all of this, we would get into the discussion of the problem, and I had a dream about this last night. The problem with the changing of how you calculate the 6 hours of extra time, extra rotation of the Earth you have around the sun, the 365.24 days that we, as Gregorian calendar users, add a day extra each 4 years. And supposedly the Mesoamericans would add a quarter of a day every year, which turns out to be the same. Your birthdays. When's your birthday? Today, Stephanie? Oh, on the leap year. Okay. So you're like on the 29th. So then, yeah, if you try to make that sense of that without, it just gets really, really complicated, because it just screws everything up. All counts get screwed once you try to think, well, what if we don't use the leap year version and we do this adding a quarter of a day each year? Okay, let's try to recalculate everything. So that's one of the points of the workshop too, is to go in depth with that. And if enough of you sign up, it's going to help me be able to give it the time and go into all the exercises of let's calculate. I'm just going to start I'm going to choose a day far back in time, and just see how each count turns up to be without the leap year. Okay, changing it only a quarter of a day each day. So so it gets really complicated with the hab. Like I say, there's different versions. So right now, if I am forced, or you ask me, okay, but what would you follow? Then I would just follow what comes out in the calculators, and not what these elders are saying it should be changed. And that's, I need to go further into that. Read a lot of things, read all their arguments of the elders. When I do that, I see that many of their arguments I actually don't like. And it's kind of hard to do that because it's like, wow, how do I tell them? Well, I don't speak to them, but, and then of course it's a group of elders. There can always be some other elder somewhere else that is not in that group and is not following those decisions, right? It is like that. It's not centralized. Wisdom is not centralized. So the best you can do is do the exercise, or do the calculations yourself. Go and like know it yourself. But for that, it's really a lot of work. It really, really, really takes a lot of work, a lot of time. And I'm planning to do that, and you guys are the inspiration to do that. So I want to do that. So that's pending to give you my final decision on what the half day is, okay? But for now, if you want to know what half day it is, I'm leaning a little bit more towards what comes out in the calculators, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay? So when I did this chart, I was doing that. So I was putting the beginning of each 20-day count of each winal in here, right? And then I would do the trecenas here. This is where it ends, begins and ends. So this is the ending of the trecena, beginning of the trecena, the number of the day, that all ordered within the moon, which is a perfect 4 7-day weeks. Then down here in these little squares, I would have the Gregorian date, and this would be, I think, the long day, the long count. No, if I'm not mistaken, hold on. 1-9, 1-10, 1-11. Yeah, it's probably the long count. Okay, because this is very old. This is a very old version. I once kind of did and wanted to print and share, and it's so easy to make mistakes with this, like to get a perfect drawing for this. So if you guys do this, you guys are brave. So let me show you just a minute. I'll be right back. It's right here, not such a long minute. So I'll show you my current version, which is simpler. So I'm no longer adding the hab nor the long count. I'm just doing the moon and the cholkij. But I am doing the moon cycle, which does not fit with the moons, by the way. It is a little bit longer, the moon cycle itself. So you do have to check it and add it, right? And I guess calculators are good for this, right? And software. And there's software for checking the moon cycle and the software for everything. And it is a little bit better than an ephemeris, which is what used to exist before we had calculators. So this is, for example, the moon. Here I wrote down. So I write down events. For example, an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. This is when we'll start the journey in the coming moon, in the Jaguar moon. This is the actual Venus-Earth conjunction when we'll do the cave ceremony here, right? So this is how I keep this is my new version. It's just personal. This, I'm not writing down anything. This is, yeah, I chose just one of the symbols of the square type for the moon. It represents the moon. You'll probably find that in the materials. Okay, so this is cos. This is the hawk. And I have the, yeah. And you know, and then of course I write this, like I write things that happen to me. So I'm not gonna get into this, but I also like have a Venus kind of chart guide using Mayan numbers, like when it is becomes visible, night and day and night sections. I write down those dates. I even did some other big Venus chart with Hab and with everything, with long count. I don't have it here next to me. Doing this takes a lot of work. So if you have the time, if you don't, I totally understand it. Okay? If you have the time to do this, go ahead. If not, you would ask me, can you do one for us? Well, I'll try. It takes a long time and it's so easy to make mistakes. And then it's like the time it takes, I don't really have like the following to like be able to sell it and say, okay, I can live making that, or I can, get something out of that. So that's one of the challenges. Okay, let's go into the next section. So introducing people to their sign, you're gonna use calculators. There's some on the internet. I used to use this one a lot. This was from a Nachkich that has now passed away, and it's now in charge of what used to be his partner, a woman that was born in Colombia. You might see her a lot. She became kind of viral on the internet, probably in Spanish though, where they started criticizing cacao ceremonies. But does somebody know how that got started? Because all of a sudden, like it appeared everywhere. It's like cacao ceremonies, okay? And which, like, as an act itself, I mean, so now there's videos of even Mayan elders like saying, this is, you are stealing our things. This is wrong. And my opinion on that is it's wrong for the people that do it, where they're getting a very cheesy version of something that could be a lot more profound, where the central thing is not cacao. Cacao is just food, right? And of course you can use cacao in your ceremonies, but the ceremony would need to be about something else, right? And that's what a Mayan ceremony would be. But it's not like nobody's stealing anything, right? This is the concept of intellectual property is colonial, okay? So I'm not gonna eat up the time with my opinion, but that's my the basic version of the opinion. So this woman who used to keep this website alive, this Colombian woman, has now, I think it's Gerardo Barrios. I think it's the brother of Carlos Barrios or something like that. And this website is no longer online, or it goes on and off online. So don't use this one because you're not going to find it. It was kind of good, but so then there's so many calculators. I know you guys have found some. I don't know if it's the same ones. I'm gonna yeah, of course, it says Yeshua. I think we should give honor to whom honor is due. If we learned from the elders, it doesn't hurt us to acknowledge them. And of course, and do they acknowledge them when they do cacao ceremonies? I don't know. But what I do want to say is that it's not that bad of a crime, right? If when they do that, it's just like cheesy, right? It's like well, everything they say is true. Not the part of they're stealing it from us, but the part where they say we've never done this, we've never done cacao ceremonies as such. I don't know where you guys are getting that from. So that's my opinion. So this website, you can see here the date, the date, the address, research.famc.org. I think with just that you can get to the calculator. This is a really good one because it allows you to, first of all, and I touched it on that on the module about it where I talked about the long count, that there are different correlations. So this is the Goodman-Martinez-Thompson correlation, which is the main one everybody uses. But then you can click on that and you can see all the other correlations that exists for the long count. Okay. So you can enter the long count if you want. Of course, that has to be according to what correlation you're using, or the regular Gregorian date here, and then it will calculate everything for you. So it will calculate the long count, the half day, and I don't know why this is cut off, but anyways, and the day here. So it even adds a Aztec calendar around, right? And there's an Aztec 20-day count calendar, which I did not teach here because I do need to do a separate kind of course for Mexica or Aztec version of all of this. And but they're similar, they're compatible. And you can see that they're using the same day, okay? Which is actually, this is the day they should be using for anybody that's using like Mexica or Aztec version of this, but many are using another count that is of this one investigator who I respect a lot, but I have been told that when he is drunk, he tells people that he laughs and just says that everybody's following a count that is not correct. But then the phenomena is that once you do that, people start following it, they get attached to it. And even if you go out publicly and say, hey guys, I'm sorry, I was just trying to find a close date, but I actually discovered some facts where this is not the right date, so it's not the right count, so you're just following some incorrect count. And if you say that, you get burnt, and people will not, they will just stick to the count. That's what happens. That's the phenomenon. So what do these people do? They just say it when they're drunk. They don't publicly say it. So that happens. So that is to say, there is another count, and you might find it out there, that of course uses the Mexica or the Nahuatl words, and you're going to see, if you find it out there, you're going to be like, what? Why is this is pointing out to another day? Why is this, right? And that's because of this man and this count. And because a lot of Mexicans follow that count. And I'm sad that they're doing that, because it's the only reliable count is this one, as far as the Cholqui or Tzolkin. Okay? So these guys kind of know this, and many other investigators, and not just foreign, this is kind of foreign, but even Guatemalan, I found a Guatemalan university students that did a book about this, and Mexican university students. So anybody that's a little more like, I criticize academics a lot, but at least they try to be serious about things. Like, so there's this is the book that they did. It's in Spanish. El Círculo Azteca del Destino, the Aztec Circle of Destiny. So it's an investigation about everything here using the Nahuatl, Mexica signs, names, words, etc. But when they went into what count should we follow, they come to the same conclusion. There's only one reliable one. This is the one that is reliable. So anybody that's really serious about this is using this count. And it's now here's where I will go as far as to say that this is not the count that is on the inscriptions, on the stele. That they used a different count for like a there was like a public solar synchronized Hun y Mosh count. And that's the count that everybody used socially. And that parallelly, they created had a Humbats count. The difference is that the first one adapts to these small changes of the year, where it tries to adjust to the small difference that the solar cycles has, the Earth going around the sun has. So it's like somehow sidereal years, right? Or sidereal days. So it's like all a sidereal calendar. And then the Humbats that we're using right now, what it really does, what it makes it just unmatched and like precise, is that it doesn't matter what part of the year we're in. We simply count one day after another, right? So each day changes, right? So we're not adding 0.24. We're not skipping a day. We're not adding a fourth of a day. We're not messing with that. Each day and night, each day is a different Nahual, right? And then, of course, with the thousands of years, it's going to mess up your gears, right? But that's my thesis here. And I will make it proper, but I just want to give you so I'll record like a lesson about that, where I can expose that thoroughly, seriously, and with all like the data. Okay, so the calculators, here you have one calculator. This is a very good one. It even adds your year bearer and the Lord of the Night, which are other counts that we did not go into, that did exist. Then you'll find this one, like this one. So with these, here I'm just pointing out where it shows you the actual Solkin. So they're all like mixing the Goodman, Martinez, Thompson. In this case, since it doesn't allow you to change the correlation, it's going to give you, it's using the Goodman, Martinez, Thompson correlation for the long count and like the established HAB count. And it's combining it with the Highland Guatemalan count for the signs, where from now, I guess, it hasn't had to adjust to the small adjustment of each year. So it gets complicated because it should kind of mess up. So after a long time.